All right. Oh, we're live. Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing very, very well. Let me just do a quick audio check, make sure it's working. All right. Oh, yep, it is working. It is working. Video's working. Audio's working. Perfect. Today we have a very special guest who is
Robin MacPherson.
Robin MacPherson. We're gonna do we're gonna do another 5-minute language chat. That tends to be the standard when you bring on a new guest. So you guys know the drill. We talk for give or take 5-ish minutes, 5 to 10, usually what ends up happening, about some different language learning topics, and that will be the video for today. So with that aside, let me get a timer out. In the meantime, Robin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about you?
So I'm originally from England, but I came to the US when I was 16. And then basically the rest of my life up until now has been quite a ride, quite a roller coaster. So I've lived in 9 countries now, I think, and been doing more like language, I call it polyglot entrepreneurship for the last 3 years. So yeah, I'm a language learner, content creator on YouTube for many years now.
So what do you speak language-wise?
So English is my native language, and I grew up monolingual. And then after that, French, Japanese are my other 2 best languages that I speak in terms of foreign languages. And then Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, German.
Oh,
Swedish.
we lost your audio for a sec. Can you see us? You said French, French, Japanese, English, and then you cut for a second.
Yeah, so Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, German, and Swedish.
Holy moly.
Thing is that those are my 8 major languages. I've dabbled in several others, but I really try to my big interest is always in reaching like really, really high levels. That's where I love to, that's my like bigger interest. So those are the ones that I'm really focusing on.
What are your, I guess it's interesting you bring that up. What are your thoughts? I find, I'll say it like this. I find that when you look at different language learners, you obviously have a big bunch of people that just want to learn a language for practical reason, work, study, whatever. Then you have a group of people that want to speak a lot of languages. Like they just like to dabble in languages, and they're not really all that fluent in that many, but they know a certain amount in like 15 languages or 12 or 11 or whatever the number is.
Mm-hmm. And
then you have, for example, like I'm that way too. I like to be if I've started a language, I want to get to a very high level in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess what's your whole take on that scenario? Like why for you do you want to get to like a high level in some languages to speak?
I think it's because of my primary motivators and reasons for learning a language. I just I love the whole concept of flow, for example, as one just easy thing to point at. Are you familiar with flow as a sort of a psychological state
maybe enlighten me?
It's basically a point that you sort of reach where the easiest explanation is that when you're engaging in an activity where it's hard enough to where it's a challenge and you're not comfortable, but it's also not too difficult to where it's impossible for you to succeed. And so it was basically coined by someone with the last name Csikszentmihalyi, and basically there's kind of a scale. So the idea being that if it's too easy, you fall into a level of comfort, which is inevitably going to lead you to, it's like a suboptimal level of happiness. So the idea being that flow is that sort of perfect balance that you'd like to ideally have. It's interesting. It's a cool idea, and I find, and one of the core aspects of flow is that it's mastery. The idea being that you have to achieve a certain level of mastery to actually arrive at that state. Because a great example is art, right? Many of us we can envision an amazing painting, but like I just physically do not have the capacity to make that a reality, right?
Sure.
So I can't achieve flow when I'm painting because it's too frustrating, because it's inevitably too hard. So that's a super quick rundown. Is a key aspect of flow, for example, is there's a certain level of mastery, right? And I think that it feels great when you master something. There's an inherent great feeling about being good at something. And so you know, and then aside from that, there are just the more sort of intrinsic things. Like I love reading, right? I love engaging in deep conversation. And when I was in Japan, I had this huge interest that built up in this idea of integrating. So I'm fascinated by blending in, right? By being accepted by people. And I even wrote a PhD proposal on that topic after that because I was so interested in it. So, and all those things I just stated, they all kind of hinge on, you know, on achieving the higher echelons of language learning, I think.
So I guess it's interesting. It's so funny. I don't know you very well. We haven't really talked much, obviously.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny. Our subscribers have, some of your subscribers have suggested to me before, and I guess some of yours suggested me to you. So.
Oh, interesting. That's funny. I wonder if it's been the same people. I bet you it's been like the same groups, but
maybe conspiring to put us together on the same live chat.
Maybe. Who the heck knows? Now, you seem to be a very deep kind of individual, and you said something. You literally the 8 minutes that we've spoken, the 4 or 5 on this thing, and like the 3, 4, 5 outside of the live stream.
Yeah,
you said some very deep things, and I wanted to bring up one specifically that you said when we weren't on the live stream, which is how you're mentioning how like a lot of the language learning skills that you find that you've developed apply in other aspects of life. I guess maybe if you can share that with with the audience.
Yeah, so I think that especially in the sort of online language learning world, because obviously there are many people learning languages, but I think a lot of times, especially on the YouTube space and in the blog space, we're talking a lot of times about self-learners, and particularly those who are learning several languages, right? So I think that there's this idea in society, in a lot of societies at least, that you should only do one thing, and that you shouldn't strive to do lots of different things because you'll achieve mediocrity, right? I personally don't believe in that. So I've always been someone that I've always been my happiest when I allow myself to try different things, and I find that passion is oftentimes something you develop through doing great work, but through trying stuff. And the reason I bring all that up is because a polyglot, for example, someone that speaks several languages well, is inherently someone who has smashed those societal limitations, right? Because the typical person in society that it might say, no, you shouldn't study 5 languages. It's just ridiculous. You'll never be good at all 5. You should just learn 1. But someone who has managed to study, French, German, Spanish, Hindi, and Swahili, who knows? That's someone that has already smashed those societal limitations and said, no, I actually can become good at 3 or 4 or 5 things, whatever it is, right? Sure. And so that tenacity to sort of go after multiple things, but also strive for good quality, right? Strive for a high level, as well as the autodidactic nature of language learners, right? People that are self-starters, people that are happy to learn on their own. Those are extremely powerful things that can open you up to open so many doors in life. And so my current example is that 1 year ago, I'd never written code in my life, ever. And I never thought I could, actually, to be honest. And 10 months ago, I started learning web design, and I applied all of the principles I learned from language learning. And I applied that mindset that I just described. And it's been less than 10 months. And I'm now sort of entering the programming and web development professional world in a really exciting position. And so I think that most people would just not think that's possible. Right? But it's really all the skills and experiences I got with language learning that opened that up to me. And I found it's been the same for many other things. So the biggest thing of all is that language learners, I think, are just excellent self-starters. There are people that are great at focusing. And if you really learn language learning the right way, and if you're organized, and I think if you embrace all that journey has to offer you, it can bleed over into just every area of life.
Cool, awesome. Well, I think that's a good note to finish it up on. A good motivational, motivational note.
I hope that was coherent.
No, totally made a lot of sense. So everyone, as per usual, Robin's stuff is in the description. All of his YouTube, his website, his book is actually in there too. All of his, if you want to learn more about him, links in the description as per usual. And yeah, any final words, Robin?
Just obviously, as always, keep learning languages. Thank you for having me on, Azren. It was a pleasure. And
Not a problem.
yeah, I look forward to perhaps collaborating in the future again.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, everyone, see ya. I'll just end the broadcast. Maybe stick around for a sec, Robin. All right.